so we'll get started in a few minutes. I just did a quick check, and I think we have 15 people scheduled to hop on the call. So hopefully more people will pop on soon. I guess to start, just going to be covering a lot of general tasks in NationBuilder. I left some room in the time set aside for the call for people to be able to pose questions for specific things that they might be working on. I'll be doing some screen sharing during the program exchange. So at any point, if you have questions about something that I'm going through or demonstrating, feel free to kind of type a question into the chat window. Or I think, if you have audio, you can just pop in with a question. I think we'll have a decent sized group, but not too many people, so that folks won't be able to just pop in with questions as they come up. So just a little bit of an overview of what I'll cover for NationBuilder in terms of member information management. So I know a lot of chapters have received emails about the data sync as part of the affiliation agreement. So for your individual chapter, you may have members signing up and you may have them tagged in your own NationBuilder database. So I'll go over the steps of how to sync that with National and show you what that looks like. I'll be using my own chapter's NationBuilder database as an example. So you'll get to see what it looks like from your side. And I'll also show you what it looks like from the YMP and National side. Also, in terms of anyone for your chapter who does member management, so whether that is reaching out to people who recently signed up for membership, needing to keep an updated and current member list, or just being able to filter and create lists of people who meet different criteria for outreach or marketing efforts. I'll go through some really great tools in NationBuilder and show you how to do some of those things that once you set them up, makes it pretty easy for anyone on your board to pop in and pull information that they need about specific group of members or people who are supporters of your chapter, and have that pretty accessible to send emails out, to bring to meetings, to use for planning purposes. NationBuilder can be a little bit complicated, but hopefully we'll demystify some of that. So I see it is 8 o'clock, so I'll give it 3 or 4 more minutes before I jump in. But to start with, I guess, does anyone have any questions they're bringing to the table that you're curious about or that you would like to see covered in the session tonight? Feel free to just share them out or throw them into the chat box, and I'll do my best to work those in. All right, I see a couple more people popping in. Hello, everyone. So gonna wait a couple more minutes. I think we have 6 people so far. We're scheduled to have 15 for this call, and a couple other people might pop on. So I will wait for a couple more people to pop on. But for those of you who just joined, just to give you an overview of what's going to be covered for this particular session. One thing that we're going to focus on is completing the steps for the data sync. I know some chapters have already shared their member information with National, but we'll go through what you need to do to make that happen. Other than that, going through a lot of features for your NationBuilder dashboard in terms of the people submenu. So how to filter through your members, create lists and filters that you can really use to select and break down your membership into whatever your chapter needs. So that could be selecting people who work in a particular subsector of the nonprofit sector, people who have a certain educational background, people who've indicated a certain interest You can even do things by address. So it does take a bit of time to set up. But once you have these systems in place, you can always have the ability to kind of pull a current member roster. You can have lists saved that you can choose specific membership types. So if your chapter has multiple membership levels, once you build in the correct filters and lists into NationBuilder, whoever is responsible for member coordination can always pop in, kind of have that information readily available to quickly pull out. I see we're up to 7 people. And if you have any initial questions or things that you're coming to the session that you want covered, feel free to share them out through your mic before we get started, or use the chat window and type them in. I'll also have an eye on the chat window as I go through. So at any point, if I'm going over something or covering something and you have a question, definitely throw it in the chat window. We should have enough time to address any questions that folks have. All right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to switch to sharing my screen for everyone to see. Okay, so hopefully now you should all be able to see my screen. And what I'm going to start with in terms of covering member info management is just to go through a general overview of the people submenu in your NationBuilder dashboard. So I'm going to switch over to that menu. So hopefully this screen looks familiar to you if you spent some time in NationBuilder. So when you sign into your dashboard, a lot of the information for your members or any organizations that have interacted with your chapter are going to be under this menu. And right now, I don't have anything selected as far as filters or specific lists to narrow down. So everyone who's listed here is someone who has interacted with my chapter, YMP New Jersey, in some way. So whether that's liking a Facebook page, liking a social media post on Twitter, or actually becoming a member of organization, NationBuilder pulls everyone into this database in your NationBuilder site. So where I'm going to start is just going over the filter tool under the people's menu, because I think it's kind of the most useful thing for chapters to use to quickly find the people that they may be looking for different tasks. So this little funnel tool right here is your filter tool. There are a lot of options underneath this. You can kind of choose to filter by any number of categories. So whatever your chapter needs, it's probably located under here. So you'll see when I click on that, it brings up an additional row for me to add the criteria that I want to use to filter through everybody who's interacted with my chapter. So for purposes of this demo, I'm going to go ahead and filter so that we get all of the members for my chapter, because I'm going to use that to kind of cover the data sync. So once you've selected a filter, you'll see a whole range of options pops up. One of the most useful ones for, I think, most chapters will be to select people based on their membership status. So if I pick the category for support level, you'll see more options show up. And if I click on membership status, you'll see what pops up is that selected filter. And NationBuilder basically wants me to tell it what status I want to filter by. So I think most chapters will want to see who their active members are. And this is anyone who has signed up and has been marked in NationBuilder as a member for your chapter. So if I pick active and then hit the filter button, NationBuilder will kind of filter through and mark off everyone who is set as an active member in our database. Once you select a filter, and I'll go over this with lists as well, you can add everyone to a list that you'll save later. Or if I back up, when you're picking a filter, if it's one that you're going to use over and over again, you can choose to save that filter. So if I choose that option, NationBuilder will ask me what name I want to give to that filter. So if I put current members, anyone else who comes in and needs to apply the same filter will find it saved under a list. So any kind of filters or categories that you need to look up over and over again, if your chapter takes the time to set them up in NationBuilder initially, the next time someone comes on and needs to run the same search, they won't have to go through that whole process over again. They'll just be able to click on this Save Filter button to the side and find the appropriate filter. And when they select that, NationBuilder will automatically do the work and return the people who meet that criteria. So I'm going to take a quick pause there, check to see if anyone has any questions. Doesn't appear so yet. So you might be wondering, once we have this information or these filters set up, what can we do with them? So I think the most common thing that chapters will find useful is if you're running a filter and you get your results, you can choose by using this actions button on the top right to add all of these people to a list or export them. So if you were running a filter to find out who all your active members are, maybe you do that every couple of months or every month, and you can add those people to a list that would be saved, and you could name it, current members for September 2017. So anyone who comes in doesn't even need to run the filter. They can just look up that saved list. Or if you need to export that information about these people, maybe to plug into MailChimp or another tool, you can choose the export option, and NationBuilder will allow you to customize the information that you want to export, and it will usually export it into a comma-separated value file, which a lot of tools like MailChimp, you can even import this type of thing into Excel to have a spreadsheet with information for all these people. And again, you can customize what type of information you want to include in those exports. So you may just want email addresses, you may want their name, address, so you can customize it to get exactly what you need from NationBuilder in terms of applying these filters. Okay. So for a lot of chapters, you may have your members already tagged in your database, and so you know who they are. And once you have that done, it's pretty easy to complete the process of sharing all of your current members with YMPN National to complete the data sync that we're looking to have all chapters do for as part of the affiliation agreement. So if you have a particular tag for your members, for my chapter is actually this member tag. So if you click on the tag list, you can just choose to view all. It'll have a list of all the tags you've used in your nation. If you find the one that you're currently using to mark all of your members, for my chapter, it's actually the member tag. So if you click on this edit symbol next to it, you will see that it pulls up a page with that tag, and then there is an option to choose sharing. So if you click on the option for sharing, you'll see NationBuilder asks you what nation you want to share this information with. For YNPN National, their nation is actually just named YNPN. So you will want to put YNPN in, and you'll also want to click off this option to sync the profile information of people with this tag. What this does is anytime that you make an update to someone's profile on your nation, that change will be synced with YNPN National, so that it will automatically update on their end as well. So one thing that you won't have to worry too much about is NationBuilder is used a lot for political campaigns and other things that have compliance requirements. So all of these additional options that are checked off here, you don't really need to add in or share with National. It'll automatically sync for the name, social media, phone number, contact information, which is basically what YNP and National needs. And you will want to click off this option at the very bottom to share data for people that don't already exist in YNP and National's database, just because until you sync and send that information over, YNP and National has no record of some of your members yet. So once you hit the Create Share button, you will get a note that the tag member has been successfully shared. And from your end as a chapter, you can come back and check on this, but everything is done from your end. What happens on National's end, and I'll just pull up another screen to show you, once your chapter has shared that member tag, this is the dashboard for the YNPN National site. A note pops up that your chapter has shared a member tag with National. And from there, we're able to accept the sharing, make sure that it's going to sync, and you should be all done as far as the data sharing with YNP and National. So what will happen when National accepts your tag sharing, if you go back and you check, oh, turned off my screen sharing. So if you go back and you check on your particular tag for your members, this will switch from pending to accepted. And that will let you know that from the National end, YNP and National has accepted the sharing of the tag, and your chapter is all good to go as far as the data sync. So I'll stop there before I jump into some other things that I want to demo, and just see if anyone has any questions, comments about that data sharing process and using the member tag.
Hey, this is Ani. If you untag somebody as a member, then do they automatically disappear from National system?
So they will not show up for National system as a current member of your chapter. So if I'll jump back to the National side. So here, for instance, so if you know, YNP and OKC has their tag shared with National for their individual members, if they untag that person as an individual member, let's say their membership lapses, or they don't renew their membership, that person would no longer kind of show up tagged as a member of OKC. Their information would still be in National's database, but if we search for them as like a current member of OKC, they would no longer show up in that search result.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. So any other questions about the data sharing for the member tags?
Does my mic work? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Jeff. This is Sabina, but I am logged in as Ani.
Got it.
So I think I missed just like the beginning part about this data sync, so forgive me if you already answered this question. So it sounds like you just turn it on and then we kind of forget about it. Is that how this works?
Yeah, so from your end, really all it is finding your member tag that your
Uh-huh.
chapter is using. You know, you can select that specific tag. Once you turn on the sharing and choose to share it with the YNPN Nation, um, it'll give you kind of this message that your tag, whatever your member tag is, has been successfully shared. That's all you really need to do from your end. When that happens on National's end, we get a message saying that, you know, YNPN Chicago or YNPN Milwaukee has shared this tag with you. We
Got it.
accept it from our end, and then the connection's complete. And from there, you know, as you're making updates and, you know, you may have new members joining, everything will be set on NationBuilder to kind of sync that tag. So any new members who join will automatically be updated and will kind of show up on the national side as being members of your chapter.
Okay. And when someone is no longer a member of our chapter, like you mentioned, they don't come up as like an active member of YMPN Chicago, but it's still in your database. Are you guys
Right.
using that information still somehow, or what do you guys? What happens to their information?
So, and this probably will be something that gets clarified more in the affiliation agreement, like update. So
Okay.
last chapter Congress call, we started getting feedback on the affiliation agreement. I
Mm-hmm.
know, and I have the data policy open, that with the outreach that we're planning on doing for like year-end giving or communication for like an annual survey for YNPN members,
Mm-hmm.
um, we will be using the shared tags to do outreach to people who are current members.
Okay.
So the other people who are kind of no longer members or active members of chapters won't show up in terms of like who we pull from the national database
Okay.
using the tags. So the outreach should only be going to kind of everybody who's marked as an active member.
Okay.
But I think that's a very good question. And I know with the data policy, similar to the affiliation agreement policy, um, it's scheduled to run until the end of next year. And I know we're going to be doing kind of think tanks and having a working group of chapter leaders who will be providing, I think, feedback. And I think that's a really good thing to clarify, just
Okay.
so everyone's really clear on, you know, what happens to their data
Right.
when it's kind of living out in the cloud. Will I continue to receive emails, or what does that look like?
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. And I see a question about how member is defined by national. Um, so again, I know with the affiliation agreement, different chapters have different people marked off or different levels of membership. So they may have different levels of payment. I know some chapters currently have non-paying members. So I think that's a really good question. I will definitely get clarity on that. But I know at this point it's been kind of flexible in terms of how membership is defined by national. I know we've left that somewhat up to the chapters to come up with their own individual definitions of who they consider to be a member. But with this question regarding, you know, if someone's a non-paying member, but they're kind of registered on NationBuilder and an active participant in your chapter, pretty sure National would consider that to be like an official member if your chapter is kind of treating them as such. So, you know, my gut answer would be members would be people who are kind of signed up in your nation and are kind of engaged in events for your chapter, whether they are paid or non-paid, versus people who may just show up as supporters in NationBuilder, because that could be anyone who does anything even as like low key as liking a Facebook post. So if you have them marked as a member, I think you would treat them kind of as a member for purposes of national. But again, something that will probably flesh out a little bit more with the next affiliation agreement. All right. And we'll do individual outreach to all of the chapters just to check in around the data sync and making sure that's happening with membership. So, you know, as your chapter may have questions about your specific membership plan, we can kind of address that individually, and I'll make sure that, you know, I get information and clarification. So all chapters are pretty clear about who in their NationBuilder database should be marked as a member or not. So I did want to highlight a few other things regarding member information management in NationBuilder. So you'll see on my screen now, this is from the YNPN data policy. In order to have more information about the membership and demographics, National did have some points in the data policy that they wanted chapters to collect using their sign-up forms. I know chapters have kind of taken the lead on designing membership sign-up forms in their nations, and they all have their separate membership sign-up pages. Just want to make sure that you are aware of some of the fields that YNPN National would like chapters to get and capture when people are signing up on your NationBuilder site. And some of these, so date of birth, email, last name, first name, are kind of built into NationBuilder when you create a sign-up page. Some others like race, ethnicity, gender, and how did you hear about YNPN are the same fields that are available on YNPN's national site. So just to switch over, here is a look at the sign-up form on YNPN New Jersey's website. Adding in additional fields if you need to match up with the data policy is pretty easy. We have code available. So if your chapter is collecting some of this data, but not all of it, please feel free to reach out to us. I'm happy to share the code and work with your chapter to add in fields. It does take a little bit of trial and error, but it's not too hard to add in some additional things like the sector or field that they work in, gender, race, how they heard about YNPN. And the great thing is, once you have this coded in and your membership sign up form all set, everyone who signs up in your NationBuilder database after that, they'll fill in all this information during sign up, and it'll kind of live in your database and automatically be synced with YNPN National. So just wanted to highlight that for folks. If you are thinking about your own chapter sign up form, and know that you want to or need to add in some of these additional fields, definitely feel free to reach out to us. We'll make sure we get you the code and walk you through kind of testing it out to make sure everything works properly in your sign-up form so that you are capturing all the data that you need to under the affiliation agreement. So one other thing to point out that I know a couple chapters have raised as an issue and that my own chapter has dealt with. In terms of your sign-up form and making sure that people pay for membership and trying to track that, I do have some tips and some settings that I just wanted to make everyone aware of. So for NationBuilder, if you create a sign-up form, it will look like this on the front end. To switch over, this is the settings for that page on my chapter's website. And I just wanted to point out a practice that might help your chapter track when people sign up but don't follow through and complete payment. So for our membership sign up page, and this is in particular for our standard member level, we have 3 different levels of membership. When people are signing up, you can choose to set your NationBuilder page up so that all the signups are tagged with a specific tag when they complete the sign up. For us, we've kind of made sure that we tag them with the name of the membership type that they're signing up with. And then you can also create a setting in NationBuilder so that after they sign up, NationBuilder can redirect them automatically to another page. For purposes of membership sign up, it kind of makes sense to redirect them to a membership purchase page, which is the donation page type in NationBuilder. And, that way, once they fill out all their information and they click sign up, they're automatically redirected to a page where they need to complete their payment through PayPal or Stripe, whatever payment processor that you have set up. So you could have someone go through filling out all their information and hitting sign up, and then they could automatically get redirected to a donation page that you set up, where they are going to be asked to complete payment for whatever amount your membership fee might be set at. So, you can auto set that, so it's very easy for them. And as they go through, they just need to provide their information and confirm their payment, and then they'll be all set. And what that does is kind of minimizes the risk that someone will come, sign up as a member, and then not complete payment. So the settings for the membership purchase page that they get redirected to actually has the settings to tag them with the tag that we actually share with YNPN National. So our member tag that syncs with YNPN National won't be applied to someone until they actually go through and complete payment. One really useful part of that is you, again, can go back to the people's menu, and if you ever wanted to search for people who may have abandoned the process partway through and not completed payment, you can use the filter tag to search for people who have a particular membership tag but may not have been marked as paying. So that can be a useful way for whoever manages membership in your chapter to kind of do a search periodically to find out who might have abandoned membership partway through, or who might be marked as a member but hasn't fully gone through the process of paying. So I will pause there to see if anyone has any questions or thoughts about anything that I just covered.
Hey, Jeff, this is Sabina again.
Hi.
So is it possible for folks to pay for an event without creating an account in our nation?
So they are able to.
Okay.
So let me find the event page that I have set up. Yes, so I'll switch screens to an event. So this is an upcoming event that we have on our website for YNPN New Jersey. And so I'm in the settings page for it, and the live one doesn't have too much info yet because it's not coming up until November. But in the settings for any event, you are able to sell tickets directly on NationBuilder if you wanted to, but folks can kind of sign up or purchase tickets without being a like member in your nation.
Okay.
So let me actually find a better event. I'll use one of our past events that we sold tickets to. All right, so we did one of our professional development events, and we had it marked off to sell tickets for. What we actually ended up doing was creating several different ticket levels. So we had a lower price for our paid members, a ticket price for people who weren't YNPN members, and then something that we've actually had some success with was having a combined ticket option for people who wanted to purchase registration for this particular professional development event. and get a discounted rate for membership.
Okay.
One thing that, no, go ahead.
So in this case, the webinar was basically free then, because it looks like your membership is $25.
Yeah, and we've actually got a pretty good response from just having like a discounted price for membership and having people be able to register. And then, you know, having them as members has allowed us to get more buy-in, and then we find that those people will come out to future events and, you know, pay as members for different events. And so kind of the discount that we're giving them for the joint purchase for an event, we kind of make back because they're more inclined to come back out to future events since they're getting a discount once they become a member of our chapter.
Okay, great. This is beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll be releasing more NationBuilder videos. We're actually in the process of putting together some YouTube playlists with like screen share videos on how to do different tasks like setting up tickets for an event. And the next NationBuilder program exchange is actually going to be focused on event setup and ticket setup in NationBuilder. So I think that one's coming up early October. So we'll definitely get out more information about that. But during that one, I'll run through like setting up an event from scratch and all the options in terms of setting up tickets, the different options that you have available. One thing that we haven't had an issue with so far is people have been pretty, I think, honest in terms of not trying to buy like a paid member ticket if they're not a paid member of the chapter. But there are other ways to set it up so that you could have a ticket page for an event that's just for your members and only they would be able to access it if that's a concern. Or if you wanted to have just different information available on the page for them.
Oh, so it doesn't know if you are a member or not, or I guess each ticket level doesn't link to their tags. Is that what you're saying?
So what you would essentially do is, so there is this other option, and so on the settings page for an event, and really for any page in NationBuilder, under the general settings menu, there's this option all the way on the bottom right where you can pick who's able to view this page. And so you can set it so that only members are able to view a page. And so you could really set up 2 separate pages for your event. And that doesn't end up having to be a lot of work. One of the nice settings that they have available in NationBuilder is you can set up all the details for your event. You can choose to clone the page, and so it'll make an exact copy. And then you can adjust the settings for the one page that might have ticket information at a lower price, and only your members would be able to log on to that. One trick that you could do with that is if non-members try and access a members only page, they kind of get directed to the NationBuilder sign-in screen, or they get a screen that pops up telling them that this page is for members only. You can customize what shows up on that page to let people know they would be able to access it if they sign up as a member. So we've actually done that and kind of added in a link there so that they can go to the membership sign up page. So there's a couple different ways to handle it. It kind of depends on what your chapter's preference is.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So I'm going to jump back over to just the general people's menu to highlight a few final things that I think are also useful for people to be aware of. So again, everyone who interacts with your NationBuilder site will be listed here. But I just want to highlight when you pick the filter tool, it really does give you a lot of flexibility. So your chapter may want to have a discussion around what is the information that we're most interested in being able to sort through our members and pull out. So if I go under the list for the possibilities of what you can filter for, It really is kind of, totally wide open, and your chapter can pick whatever makes the most sense for your programming, or what you're looking to reach out to your members on the basis of. For those sign up fields, there are a number of custom fields that are available. So if you pick custom fields, there are some things that are already built in at the national level for YNPN. Some of these are actually conference related from past years, but there are things like education level. So in case you wanted to focus on people who might still be in college, or college students who are members, you could create a filter for that. Now I go back and pick an additional criteria. Some of the other things that you can choose to focus on, anything from if they have a particular job role, if you wanted to focus on something that might be of interest to female or male members. You can create filters for all of these and save them, so that whenever anyone in your chapter leadership needs to go on NationBuilder and pull a list of people who meet some criteria, all that information, once you create the filter and save it, will be listed in this drop-down menu. And so it really is customizable for every different chapter to be able to go in, create filters, save those filters so you can run it very quickly. And then from those filter results, be able to use this action bar in the top right to add all those people to a list, save the list. So, if you needed a quick update on everybody who is a particular membership type for this month, like the most current list, you can run that filter, save the list, mark it as the current month, and that way anyone else from your chapter who needs that information can come in and then quickly find it in this part of your NationBuilder dashboard. One thing that might be really, really useful for anyone who is working on membership management in your chapter, under the filter options and then for support level, you can choose to pick people by their current membership status. But let's say you want to be ahead of the curve in terms of reaching out to people whose membership started in the last 3 months, or people whose membership is about to expire in a certain time frame. So if I pick, the membership expires option for the filter, you can pick a specific date. From this other drop-down menu for this filter, you can pick anyone whose membership expires in the next, let's say I want to do 2 months out, next 60 days or 30 days or 15 days, and have a list of those people show up. So if I run the filter for my own chapter, NationBuilder will return a whole list of people who will have their membership expiring in the next 60 days. So if you are kind of a membership chair or someone who's running point for membership in your chapter, you can use these filters and save them. So every time you run this filter, it will give you, everybody in your NationBuilder database who's going to have their membership expiring in the next 30 days or 60 days. So it does take a little bit of time to set these up, but it can be incredibly useful once you have them all ready to go. It makes life much easier when you need to pop into NationBuilder and find information pretty quickly once you have all your filters saved. So I'll take a quick pause there and just see if anyone has any questions about those features, or if anyone came onto the call with any specific questions that they'd like me to cover. We have about 20 minutes left, so I'm happy to kind of answer any questions that people may have jumped on the call with.
Hey, it's Ani. I'm a little bit confused about the difference or maybe the overlap between filters and tags.
Okay. So filters you will only create from the people's menu in NationBuilder. So this tool here, there's no options in any of the other page types for NationBuilder to apply a filter. So you'll only be able to apply a filter from this screen in NationBuilder. With tags, you can create them or apply them individually here. So this little icon here next to anyone in your NationBuilder database at any point, I can click here to add a tag for an individual member, kind of one at a time. That might be useful in some situations if you know there's only one person that you need to update with a tag. But I will jump to, let's see, the event page would be a good one. So NationBuilder also has functionality built in where when you're setting up a page, you can include an option to tag someone who takes a particular action. So a good example would be in any event page. Let me find the right one. So this is the event page or the event settings for our webinar. And what you'll see is if you go to the RSVP option, nope, sorry, wrong one, the advanced option. For any event that you create, you have an option to tag people who RSVP with a particular tag or anyone who attends with a particular tag. One thing to be careful of with tags is they add up really quickly. So you may want to be strategic. But one thing that chapters might find useful is on your events, if you wanted to tag everyone who attends a particular type of event in a given year, our chapter decided that we wanted to tag everyone who RSVP'd or attended any of our professional development events for 2017 with a particular tag. So all of our event pages, we kind of included this in the settings. So anyone who RSVP'd or bought a ticket and then attended our webinar received this tag. You can do the same thing from your member sign-up screens or any donation screens. So if I jump back to the membership purchase settings, again, under donation settings, you have an option to tag the donor with particular tags. So for us, the only donation pages that we have active right now are our membership sign-up pages and ticket pages for our events. But if you did a fundraising campaign for the end of the year and you set up a donation page for that, you could adjust the settings so that everyone who donated for your annual appeal was tagged with a particular tag, so you could track them. In your people's menu under the database, you do have the option to select tags. And again, if you have been having people automatically tagged as they take certain actions on your website, you can, I'm gonna find one that has a decent number of people. Select that tag from that menu, and NationBuilder will actually automatically run a filter for you with that tag. So tags can actually be really, really useful if you think ahead and think, how do we want to specifically mark people who do certain things in our NationBuilder website? You add the tag to that specific page, and then NationBuilder can kind of take care of the filtering work for you. And so then when you're trying to search for these people, you just need to know what tag you're looking for. And if you select it from that menu, NationBuilder, again, will kind of do the filtering for you based on the tag. And then the same thing applies in terms of once you have the results, you can add those people to a list or export them. but those tags will also kind of stay with that person until you go in and change them, which is why it's important not to have too many tags, but to think carefully about maybe what makes the most sense for your chapter. So hopefully that explanation made sense of like the difference between filters and tags.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Yep. And if I scroll down a little bit, see if I can actually find someone who has a ridiculous amount of tags. So this is one of our board members, and it was at a time where literally we started tagging people for every separate event. So like an October mixer and a November mixer, and we realized that that was going to spiral out of control really quickly. So just with tags, you do have to kind of go in and manage them, and they do add up pretty quickly. So I think with those, it's like good to chat with your board, find out what are the most important things that we need to track using tags, and then just have maybe a couple that really work well for your chapter.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
I have another question for you.
Sure.
So does either YMPN New Jersey or maybe National or any other chapter who's been on NationBuilder for a while have like a document on how to for every type of situation, maybe? Because I know that you mentioned you're making a YouTube playlist, and there's some videos and stuff, but I wonder if anyone did like a brain dump of you should really know this, or this is how you actually do it step by step, like on paper.
We do. So there is a huge document that was like a master onboarding document for NationBuilder that was included in the work plan that went out to a lot of chapters when they first signed on to NationBuilder. I think the tricky part is there were so many great links in that document that it can be like overwhelming to identify stuff.
Right.
So I think one of our goals, I think over the next couple of months, is going to be to transition some of that over to the YMPN Leader site and kind of have it categorized a little bit more compactly so that folks aren't like combing through that document to find the tags. I do know there was a tag guide that was included in that that was created by YMPN national staff. That's pretty useful and gives a good overview. So as we're doing follow-up for these program exchanges and shifting some of that, I think, over to the resource library on the chapter site, we'll make sure to send out updates for everyone and then think about how we can best organize it in the resource library so that, under NationBuilder resources, someone could just find, I think a lot of them are Google Docs, like a link to the Google Doc for an overview on filters or using tags for a specific thing. So it exists. I think it just needs to be kind of tidied up and organized a little bit. So we're going to try and prioritize that so that it's as easy as possible for any chapter leaders to find it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and I think the end goal is hopefully we can have a lot of those Google Docs available. And then as we create some additional screen share videos, include links to like accompanying videos in the YouTube playlist or that we set up so that someone could have a document that kind of outlines the process. But if they do want to watch a short video about how to do it and kind of follow along live, they'll be able to get both of those in the same place.
Great.
All right. Any other specific questions from people on the call before we kind of wrap up? I'm going to stop my screen share just for a second, make sure I'm not missing anything.
I have one more question.
Sure.
Do you know of other chapters who are feeling pretty confident about using NationBuilder that maybe we could reach out to for extra help? Because I'm sure you always get inundated with questions from all over the place. And I think it might be good for us to, yeah, just reach out to other folks who kind of already been doing this for a while.
So I think a few that pop to mind that I've had some good discussions with how they're using NationBuilder. YNP in Little Rock, I think was one of the earliest chapters. They may have been in like the pilot class to get onboarded to NationBuilder first.
Okay.
I've had a chance to also look at, I think YNP in Cleveland has a pretty good setup, and they've started using a lot of features. I really do like your question. I think one thing that we might look to do moving forward, and we'll actually be reaching out to chapters shortly about, is putting together a chapter directory. So kind of at the national conference, one of the highlights is the roll call. And so chapters are able to kind of spot other chapters who are experts in a certain area. So we're putting together kind of a survey to reach out to chapters to get information about kind of their strengths, some areas that they may be looking to improve on. So that will be available on the chapter leader site, but I think it would be useful to kind of have even outside of like the program exchanges or the YNP and leader site, just some chapters who feel really comfortable or like they have a strong basis in NationBuilder, kind of highlight that on their chapter profile so that other chapters are aware and can kind of connect with them to talk about best practices and, you know, getting different things set up in NationBuilder. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thank
Yeah,
you
and
for that suggestion.
And so even, yeah, the individual questions for chapters kind of setting up new features in NationBuilder, you know, yes, there are a lot of chapters, but definitely shoot your questions. I do get quite a few emails, but you would be surprised about how many of them are on the same topic. So it's not as overwhelming as you might think. And, you know, once chapters reach out and we're kind of able to come up with a solution, that makes it easier for us to share that information, you know, with the next chapter who might have a similar question. We're able to tackle it a bit easier. So yeah, you know, we have other projects going on, but if anything pops up, definitely, you know, feel free to always shoot me an email and we can kind of figure it out. We also have the backing of the NationBuilder support team as well. So if it is something that gets to be a little bit complicated, sometimes I'm able to pass those requests on and get some expertise from their kind of coding team to tackle things that might be a bit tricky, and then circle back with chapters.
Okay. And then hopefully, sorry, I feel like I'm monopolizing all the questions, but hopefully this is one quick question. Do you know the timeline or a realistic timeline for making the membership directory on NationBuilder a possibility?
Yes.
I know there's been a back and forth about that.
So we got a really great response. So I know I reached out to the listserv because we got that request at the national conference. And I think overwhelmingly, we heard immediately from a bunch of chapters who wanted the opportunity to kind of design and have a membership directory available as kind of a great member benefit to have for their formal members. So we kind of prioritize that or flag that as a project to complete as quickly as possible. So with it being the end of the year, I am working on, I think, prioritizing the data sync, but I have been able to contact our NationBuilder support rep, and she got me in touch with some members of their support team who can help out with the coding on that. So that's kind of top priority based on what we heard from the chapters. So my personal goal is to be able to roll that out and let chapters know about that kind of early next year.
Okay.
But we did reach out to their team and they're willing to kind of work with us on some of the trickier parts in terms of getting the coding. So as soon as we have kind of more information on that, I'll definitely reach out to, I think, all the chapters who indicated they were interested, and definitely all the chapters, I think, who directly responded to the email that I sent out. But we got a pretty strong response in terms of chapters wanting that to be kind of a priority project. So we're looking to tackle that first in terms of something we can offer to everyone in the network.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, I floated it by my own board and they were excited as well. So I think it was consensus across the board that everyone was kind of excited about the possibility of having that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Any additional questions? Last thoughts? People feeling a little bit more comfortable, hopefully, with the data sync piece. We'll be reaching out to all the chapters in the network individually with more information about that and to check in. The replay of this program exchange will also be available. So I'll probably send a message out to everyone who registered for this and the listserv with a replay so that in case you need to go back and just double check something, you'll have that available. And I'm going to go ahead now and just in the chat window, make sure everyone has my email address.
While you're doing that, I do have a question if you can hear me.
Yep, I can.
Okay. Is there a new date that you all are looking for, or a new date you have in mind for that data sync?
So we are looking to try and get as many people as possible finished with their data sync for their members by October 10th. I should be reaching out to all the chapters between tomorrow and Friday just to follow up individually. And I kind of have next week and the early part of the following week set aside to be able to prioritize working with chapters one-on-one for that. Our main reason for doing that is we need to reach out for end of the year communication. So we'd like to have as many chapters synced as possible in the database so that we have a good record and accurate data on who the members are nationwide. So October 10th is going to be the new target date. You know, even if chapters are kind of working towards that and can't quite make it by that point, we're going to have support available to kind of get as many people on board as soon as possible. But yeah, so if you have questions, just keep an eye out for the email that's going out to your individual chapter. And then I'm happy to answer questions via email, jump on, do a screen sharing session, really work with chapters to tackle any last minute technical issues or questions that might pop up.
So the main thing for that October 10th date is sharing our current members so you all can reach out to them.
Yes. So
Okay.
Other points, like if you need to update your member sign up form or do some other tasks, those are definitely important, but we definitely want to try and get kind of that member tag that people have in their database synced with National. So we're going to prioritize that. And as I reach out to chapters, I'll get a sense of where everyone is with regard to everything. So we'll get an update. We'll prioritize getting that one task out of the way. And then I can work with chapters kind of as needed to maybe update their membership sign-up form or answer other questions that they have about getting filters set up or tags. But yeah, we're looking at October 10th for the data sync for the member tag for a lot of chapters.
And then after that, will this be an annual thing, a monthly thing? Just knowing that different chapters have members join periodically throughout the year. What are you all thinking?
So the beauty of doing the sync is you'll share the tag. There's an option during the process where you can choose to have it sync with National. And from that point on, as long as you're periodically kind of checking to make sure that your member tags are updated on the correct people, you will not have to worry about kind of resetting up the sharing process. Once that link is established, the information will automatically update between your chapter and
then
National.
you all can just, okay, then you all can just like tap in as you need.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, you know, getting to that mountaintop, once it's done, it's kind of set forever. And you know, it should sync without any problems. I've been keeping an eye on the chapters who synced so far, and I did some testing with my own chapters data. So as you're kind of have people sign up, or people are no longer members and you're kind of marking them off or removing those tags, everything you do on the chapter level will automatically update for YMP and National once it's set up correctly.
Great, thanks.
And okay, I almost sent that message privately. Okay, so I just shot a short note out in the chat window with the chapter support email for YNPN. So if you do have any questions that pop up about the data sync, feel free to reach out to me. Definitely work with your chapter to get that done. And then, you know, if your chapter has any other questions about info management or setting up filters, tags, and NationBuilder, feel free to shoot those to me as well. I can certainly help out with that. And with that, I'll wrap things up for this program exchange. I'll make sure you all get a link to this video replay in case you need to reference it in the future. And we'll make sure everyone gets information about the 2 additional program exchanges coming up. I think the next one is October 9th, and then there is a 3rd one on November 1st. So we'll make sure we get that information out to everyone as well. With that, I will wrap things up. So thank you all for joining, for the great questions, and I hope everyone has a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good night,
Thanks.
everyone.
Night.
Bye.